obviously AI is on everyone's lips this year in many different ways. It will be a part of the discussions throughout. But I want to open your mind and perhaps blow your minds a little bit about what's happening in fashion marketing and discovery in the fashion space. So please give a warm hand to Erik Wikander, co-founder of Wilgot. Welcome, Erik.
Thank you.
I'm going to actually sit down for this session. We start with this kind of fireside chat with Erik. Erik, we know each other a little bit since before. You've been on the podcast. You have been really instrumental in helping me understand what's happening in kind of the AI space in fashion and discovery. And there's some really interesting topics happening. But there is we're witnessing kind of a huge transformation right now in real time.
Yeah.
Can you, before we get into your background, can you just describe what's happening right now? What is the collapse of the discovery of products?
I think it's less of a collapse and more of a rebirth. What's happening in search, and there are a couple of things that are interesting with this shift. One, it's happening at warp speed. So the change that we've witnessed over the last 6 to 12 months in search has been the most change search has seen since the release of the first search engine, Google. So it's not only that users are adopting new ways of searching, like ChatGPT, but it's also the fact that the entire model and the foundation that search has been built on with an ad-funded model is also now being challenged. So we're both seeing the user adoption shift, forcing companies to adapt, but also the very fundamentals of how brands appear inside search engines are changing dramatically. So the interesting shift is moving away from paid relevance, so you pay to be the most relevant result, to actually being the most relevant result, which I think is super interesting, and there's so much we can unpack there. But I think brands are now starting to wake up to this shift, and some interesting data points. I mean, we speak to some of the biggest brands around the Nordics and Europe, and this is now a board level question. So GEO or AI SEO or whatever you call it, it's a fundamental issue for brands that is now being picked up on a board level. So we speak to brand groups who are now mandating the brands, you need to get on top of this, because this shift is happening in real time. And I think the brands who don't lean in will face significant challenges, not only the next few months, but over the coming years.
Let's just emphasize what is happening. Let's get back to this shift. So, I mean, I think everyone in here has, tried the ChatGPT or dabble with it or use it on a daily basis. I certainly do. So what we're talking about here is actually the fact that instead of people searching through, let's say, what's been the traditional means in the past, say, 20 years, you're going directly to your AI friend and you're asking for advice, you're asking for products, you're asking for whatever you need, basically. What does that mean? And let me know if I know you have some data we can share, but what's happening there?
I mean, the fundamental shift is if we take a step back and look at how did we search before AI. Well, okay, so you entered something into the search engine, blue shirt, and then you had to go through all the results yourself. So you basically put all the work on the user to do all the sifting through the results and finding whatever is most relevant. And most of the time, it wasn't very informed. You had to make it relevant for you. So you, as a user, had to do a lot of work. And now what's happening right now is that the AI does that work for you. So you basically tell the AI, so let's take a concrete example of, I love the travel example I have, but going to Barcelona for a trip. So in the past, you would search for things to do in Barcelona with kids. I have a 3-year-old, so it's quite hard to find something relevant to do with a 3-year-old. And my oldest is 9, so it's kind of a big gap. In the old world, I had to go through, I would spend maybe an hour going through results in Google, trying to pick out relevant things. But in the world of AI search, with ChatGPT, but now also very soon with Google, I just say, hey, I'm going to Barcelona in April. I have 3 kids, youngest one is 3, what can I do? And then it does the work for me. And that shift, it may seem very simple or very high level, but it's fundamental. It's fundamental to how what content gets consumed, what brands are found, and how discovery happens. So it's basically picking apart the old model of SEO and all of these things and reassembling it in the world of AI agents. So you no longer have humans looking at your brand content, you have machines, and machines consume content in a different way. But I think this is the biggest opportunity for brands since the internet was invented.
So perhaps a bigger challenge for Google, and there are ways that they are trying to tackle this. But we're moving from an area where there are these 10 blue links, and you, as a consumer, you have to click around yourself. Now you have an AI friend or an assistant that like provides this for you. So where does that leave the brand, the company that supplies a product or service to the market? Used to be that you mentioned you had to buy certain ad space on the social platforms of Google. You mentioned you have to be more relevant today. What does that mean?
I can actually, you can pull up the second slide in the deck, just because I like to try and simplify things, because there's a lot of things happening right now. It's hard to understand like what is actually going on in the world of search and the world of AI and content. So if we look at the old way of searching, if you search for a chair, like that was where the market was before. So you had a very simple word that you put into the search box, and 3 brands, 3 companies could get represented in that result because of Google and how SEO worked. And there was basically no way of getting into that result unless you were like over optimizing and working to get into that top 3. Basically a monopoly. So like 3 brands could win in that share search. And that was 92% of all searches, which meant that there was only 8% where brands could fit. So unless you were IKEA selling chairs, or a big brand, or like the most relevant chair, you wouldn't show up. So what's happened now, and actually just trying to optimize for how the 8% was also very time consuming and expensive, because you needed to do things like keyword research. You need to understand what people are actually searching for. But since most of the users were on the left side, there was no way of tapping into that. It's just like you wouldn't get the budget to spend millions of kronas on keyword optimization. So if you go to the next one, well, let's just fast forward to today. You now have the AI agents and the humans kind of going deep into the long tail. So the search behavior is shifting from the old way of searching to the new, and that's the blue ocean. Because these things are things that consumers previously weren't able to search for, because the search engines weren't smart enough, and there was no way of optimizing towards that. So think of this as the blue ocean opening up. And this is your chance to shine and be the best and most relevant product for your users' needs. And this is happening at hyperspeed, and it's happening at scale. So think about it also, all the challenges that were there before. If you were a brand selling to multiple markets, how do you know what people are searching for in Norway or in Iceland, wherever? Adapting your content to that way of searching, like that way of expressing yourself, that just wasn't possible. So this is the era of hyper-personalization and making sure that you're the most relevant product for your brand at a given moment. And this is all like increasingly being automated. So if the old world was very manual, labor-intensive, this is now war of the machines. So the AI doing the search on behalf of the user, AI generating the content, AI doing the analysis, like AI is everywhere basically.
Well, there's this whole discussion or vision around like this kind of zombie internet, and a huge part of I read somewhere that just within a couple of years, some 70 or 80, 90% of the internet is going to be AI generated, but which is kind of scary in a way. But we can just leave that for now, and just I'll plant that in people's minds. What I'm interested in, if you are a retailer and if you're a brand, it's got to require you to a totally different type of output.
Yeah.
In terms of how you talk about your brand, how you describe your products, how you publish content around your products. How do you tackle that part?
I mean, if we get very tangible, I mean, these implications will mean that your SEO content teams, everyone has to rethink. Because in the old world where you had category pages, so searching for a chair would give you a category page, those will die. Like there will be no category pages, or there are no category pages in AI, because the AI goes straight to the products. So your products need to be described in a way that consumers want and AI agents understand. And those are quite fundamental because it's hard. It's hard to know what consumers are looking for, especially if you have a large SKU catalog. So if you have 10,000 products, how are you going to do like optimization at large scale? You need AI. So you need AI to do the optimization for you, and then tap into what people are searching for. So in a way, the opportunity, there's the downside and there's the upside. So the downside is, of course, you will see slipping of the numbers on organic search, which is already happening. So less and less traditional Google searches. And then in the best of worlds, you're seeing an uptick from AI-driven searches. So ChatGPT is even a source inside Google Analytics. You can see it as a UTM source. So hopefully you see revenue going up. But I think a lot of brands won't see that because they haven't thought about this. So they're just going to see a drop in Google numbers, and then they're going to spend more money on paid ads. But the paid ads will also, this then comes down to what are Google doing? Well, they've realized that the paid ads model is dying. Sundar Pichai confirmed this in a podcast a few weeks ago. He said, we are now looking at subscription models. We're looking at everything that is not buying relevance through ads, because it's not a great model. Why is the most bought ad the most relevant results for me? That's just not correct. So if you're buying ads, users will leave that way of searching. Your ad prices will go up. So it's like a toxic cocktail of the collapse of marketing, unless you lean into this. So I think we will see a lot of headlines and quarterly reports, people saying that organic search is dying, and then some brands will thrive. Because if you do lean into this is the biggest opportunity, because if you look at the relevance of the results on the right side, they're looking for your specific thing. They're not looking for a chair. They're looking for that perfect Scandinavian style chair in a leather, yada yada. So that result is much more relevant to that user, meaning that they will be more loyal. They will discover brands. I've done this a couple of times. I've found brands that I've never heard of, and they were great. They were much more relevant than in the old world where you search for something having to sift through. So I think this is the biggest discovery opportunity ever.
So that's what we're talking about. That's the opportunity in relevance. So the more relevant you are to your consumers' needs, that's how you win, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to give you a chance to just briefly describe what you do with Wilgot, but also maybe a little bit your background, because you've been a CMO yourself, and this is how you you tackle these issues firsthand. But talk about how you founded Wilgot and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so I was a CMO at a fintech company called Lendify, and we were spending way too much money on paid marketing and couldn't really make that model work. So we had to lean into SEO and content, and after a while we were getting 90% of our customers through one SEO keyword, and I figured, how? Why? There are banks with 200 people working on this problem, and how are we more relevant? And it's just because the whole industry has been very sifted with legacy, and you have to know a lot of things to actually lean into that channel. But I took that away founding my previous company, which we were really early into AI content and AI search even before AI search was a thing. So I was on a stage a few years ago talking about conversational search, and then it happened 6 months later. So we were quite early in spotting that AI would cause a massive disruption to how people search, and brands will need to adapt to that way of searching. And the answer is also AI as an enabler for content generation. Because if you only do the keyword research, search pattern analysis with AI, there's no scalability. So you need AI everywhere, basically. That's why we built Wilgot, which is an end-to-end platform. So we describe it through 4 steps. So the first step is understanding what people are searching for across AI search platforms, and then matching that to your products. So basically, these are the searches and these are your products, generating and regenerating the content based on those things, and also consuming reviews. So we let basically the users describe your products to match the way people search, and then we have a feedback loop. So we generate the content, we publish the content, and then we monitor to see that it's actually getting picked up by the AI search engines, you're getting revenue. And then that's kind of the end-to-end cycle. So we started out working with a bunch of different industries, everything from travel to SaaS brands. But then when we started working with D2C brands, we realized that what we've built is actually very suited to brands with large product catalogs, many markets, like just the scalability aspect, which means they can now unlock AI search as a sales channel rather than just having to suffer through this shift.
Got it. I have a few more questions on content creation, but Linda, I just want to hear your take. Like listening to Erik now, what's roaming through your mind from kind of brand retailer perspective?
Yeah, I would say this is so interesting. Of course, I love AI, and that's my history, and so it's both from a. This is like a no-brainer. The customer experience are there, and we see it, and the young people are already ChatGPTing more than Googling. So this is something that brands needs to really step into, and I love the feedback loop. So if we take even more steps ahead, because we have today we have the product description in the PIM. So can you also bring the AI, the intelligence of your solution into the PIM, so you like update everything in the old systems also with this new data?
Yeah, so we basically consume in any data there is. So if it's in a PIM system or whatever is available, we consume all of that, including the reviews. And basically pull it into the data bucket, and then we, based on that, generate what's most relevant. But what we found though is that it might not be what's in the PIM system that's more relevant to what people are looking for. So when we did this for a couple of brands, we saw that in the reviews, they were better at describing the products than the brands themselves, which is funny. But I think that's what's needed. Like you need to describe your products in a way that your consumers are looking for. So when we kind of looking at bigger brands, we saw that this is an industry-wide problem. Like people, brands describe their products very much inside out, because you might have a product designer who thought about this chair in a specific way, but then, okay, what's the use case? Like, this is a desk. Well, it's great for conferences, but what else? Like, there's so many use cases and applications of these your products that you haven't thought about, or the way you have described it.
So in a way, like the more generic you are, the worse it is.
Yeah.
And the more specific you are, the better it is to find that relevant.
100%. So the more generic, the more you're going to suffer, basically.
Well, which is kind of my last point, and before we try to round it off, but as a writer, this has been an existential crisis going on for a few years now. I've kind of found myself being automated away. But what we've tried to do with Scandinavian Mind when we talk about these issues is try to find that where is that human origin creativity? Like how do we make sure that even though we start applying these kind of AI systems at scale, that we still think about the human, both the user, but also to make sure that the things we put out there into the world, whether it's like content or videos or imagery or products or whatever it is, that's not being kind of AI generated at its core. And we had a few discussions on this where I'm happy to hear that you kind of I'll let you talk about it, but like we need that like the creative director, the art director, the designer, the writer, the people, the person that originates that piece of content is going to be more important than ever, because that's where you find your differentiation. That's where you find that relevance, that's where I found some comfort as a writer. But talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, there are two aspects to the human element. One is we now have amplification. So human thoughts and human minds are being amplified, because in a way your brand is now not only represented by your website, but it's the AI interpreting your brand. So then the brand needs to be on point. It needs to be relevant for the users you're selling to, or the consumers you're selling to, which is where you come in, and consultants like yours can actually help brands figure out where are we playing, and like what is our target audience, and so on. That's more important than ever. And then, of course, you have the human in the loop element, because I think we always have like humans in the loop with every customer we work with, because I think we're not yet there that people can just let the AI go freely. I think we hear examples about this every day in daily life, that there are misrepresentations. I heard one of SVT, they translated a word in the wrong way, and the writers union just, I told you. So I think that's going to be a theme for sure. But in any case, this is forcing brands to rethink, like, what is the core of our brand? Who are our customers? And why are our products relevant to these people, and how should we position them and the brand?
Before I let you go, I know you are kind of, you're on the forefront of everything that's happening, developments. Is there anything else happening in this kind of AI space that people should know about? I know there's stuff happening on the LLM side or the GPT. They're leaning into the consumption part.
No, I think it's moving extremely quickly. So I think there's a bit of fatigue. Like, people are sick of there's just so much change. So what am I going to do? And I think this is one of the challenges, which is why like people are experiencing these changes as a user of ChatGPT or AI search engines, so that whenever there are like Google, for example, for 2 months ago or 1 month ago, announced the biggest changes to Google since Google was released, but it went by unannounced. Like, no one really cared. And
you cared. You
I
texted
me
like, Connor, you have to look at this.
but they're basically so I think I feel the pain of a brand today, because there's so much change. But I still stress that all of these changes, including what Google announced and now what OpenAI announced, that they're not going to do a paid ad model, they're going to do a revenue share model, which is also mind-blowing, which everyone missed again. So I think that the number one thing is just stay calm, and but also don't stay calm, because this is happening in real time.
Act on it. But and I know this is kind of, we don't know exactly where it's going to land, but from my understanding, I mean, it's kind of obvious we will see transactions happening in the kind of AI feed, or the conversation you have with an AI, whether it's Google or ChatGPT, or like, we're not really there yet. I've seen some early piloting, but do you think that's the way we're going to go as well?
Yeah, I mean, Shopify and OpenAI were the first out. They've already announced the feed. So we're talking to Shopify, we're already looking at the feed. So it's happening. I think, of course, as always, it will happen first in the US. But if you look at the pace that Google have, so they were quite slow for the first 2 years, and now things are accelerating. So AI mode, which was announced in May, I think, at the Google I/O conference, is already rolled out to 1.5% of all consumers in the US, which is like, if you look at that speed, and then you look back 2 years, like it's exponential, the way that, because they are so stressed. They are stressed that they will lose users to ChatGPT. They are stressed that they will lose their relevance, which I think is happening, because like the blue link experience is crap. Like, I don't like clicking blue links. Who does? So interesting times.
Sure. Linda, do you want to?
I just love it also. And even though it is stressful for brands, this is the opportunity, because we have known that the old model has been broken for a while, to pay for relevance and reach, that it has really, it has been costly for the margins and a bad model. So now it's time to shine. If you have great products, you just need to fix the PIM system and the search, and really becoming data-driven in this matter.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the themes we haven't talked about too much, but this is fantastic for margins, because there are no paid ads inside ChatGPT. This is all organic. So this is the opportunity of a lifetime to also like make fashion more sustainable. Like, why should you give up 25% of your revenue to Google or Meta? Screw those guys.
Screw those guys. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Erik Wikander, co-founder of Wilgot, everybody.